Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here at Trader's Journey on YouTube. You guys have been going ham recently on the subscribe button, so I really appreciate all the love and support you guys have been giving me on the channel. Today we're going to go through this SOS price forecast. A lot of you have been asking me where I see SOS in the future. I'm going to go through some of the fundamental details and some of the analysis which I generally do for stocks before I invest in them, and we'll be going through some of those key areas. So hopefully you guys will learn something from this video, and you guys will hopefully benefit, every single one of you. So before we get to this, make sure you hit the subscribe button, drop a like on this video, and let's get straight into it. So as you can see, I've got an Excel file here. Hopefully you guys can see this. It is SOS, so I tend to do one for stocks which I'm looking to invest in or that I have invested in. Now SOS was one of those stocks which we already looked at these sort of numbers, what they were seeing, what we were seeing in the news, and the sort of business areas they were looking to invest in, i.e. cryptocurrency mining. So as you can see from this Excel file, guys, we have the forecast. Now with a stock such as SOS, this doesn't really work so accurately as in comparison to if you were to do this for a more established stock such as Amazon, right? So what you can see in this Excel file, I've got the income statement, which is the profit and loss, otherwise known as the profit or loss, and then I've got the balance sheet. So I like to see the fundamentals, I'd like to see the figures, what's happening year on year, to help me understand from a historical perspective, where is the business heading, what's going on in the news, what are their forecasts, what are the analyst forecasts. So I like to go through all of those details, so you'll be able to see what goes on in this video. So I'm going to start off here with SOS on the balance sheet, guys. So unfortunately we've only got 3 years worth of figures, that's all I could get. So we've got from 2017, 2018, 2019. So to any of the non-finance people, you may not understand all of these details, but if you have any questions, you can always let me know on Instagram or in the comments. So as you can see, you've got 17, 18 and 19, all 12-month periods, so we can have a direct comparison to see where the business is heading. One of the key areas which I noticed, and most of you will notice as well, let me see if I can zoom in here. Hopefully you guys can see this on the video. So you can see in the balance sheet, they've got the full-time employees numbers. You can see SOS have gone through some major restructuring. They've gone through a lot of people here. They've managed to get rid of so many people. I mean, in 17 they hired 3,400 people, down to 2,500, and in 19 they were left with 163 people. So I'm interested to know where they're standing at 2020. We do have their financial period does end on the 31st of December 2020. So we're expecting some results, and I can't wait to see what those come out as. So yeah, they've definitely gone through some major restructuring here. The employees have dropped off. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's a good thing, as they aim for cost savings. So from an investment perspective, there's nothing wrong with that at all. If you look at I like to look at their cash and cash equivalents here. I've highlighted in yellow the key figures which I'm concerned about for the purposes of this video. So you can see cash and equivalents, we've dropped by half, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. I generally like to see good cash balances, especially in this sort of COVID-19 era where businesses are struggling for revenues. Strong cash balances are a very good thing to see. So it's nice to see that they have still got a considerable cash balance here. Not as high, of course, but it looks like they've been reinvesting that into assets. As you can see, their long-term assets have moved up from 35 to 37, which is a great sign there. So although their total assets have dropped, so that is something to note here in 2019. So it looks like they've gone through a major restructuring process there, and rationalization process, just to streamline everything they've been doing as a business. Their total liabilities, great to know, has dropped as well. So that's a very good, strong area to look at as well. I like to see what the debt to asset ratio is as well, which I haven't calculated here, in fact, but I mean, you can see it clearly. So total assets relative drop slightly there, and liabilities have dropped. Both not such a bad area. It looks like one asset to one liability almost. So the ratio there, I mean, it's pretty strong. Not as nice as I would like it, but SOS is a growing business, so you'd expect liabilities to be higher than the assets. Moving on, guys, to the income statement. So there is just going to be a quick update here on the income statement, so you guys can understand what I'm looking at and what it is that I am interested in. So there has been some articles written on SOS, and SOS themselves have already given out their forecasts for revenues, and their revenues are looking to jump considerably for 2020 financial year and 2021, which is the current financial year. They have already forecasted a net income of 3.1, coming from a loss of 9.9 for their net income. That's a huge swing. They managed to drop that considerably from 2018 to 2019, and that makes sense because you can see their employees dropped, right? Their employees dropped from 2,500 to 163 people. So they've managed to make some huge cost savings to their operating margins. So that is extremely good news, guys. I love seeing that. And they are setting themselves into a very, very good position financially. Although their cash balances, as I say, aren't where I'd like them to see, I'm hoping that's going to improve when the 2020 financial results come out and 2021. So you can tell I am in this for the long run, guys. I am definitely in this for the long run. Moving on, guys, to other details which I've noticed on SOS. So one of the things is, I may have mentioned to you earlier in the video, is the PE ratio. So PE ratio, which you can see here in the stats. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Let me just zoom in so make sure you guys can see this on the video. So 2964 is the price earnings ratio. So 2964, where does that stand amongst the averages? Now that is pretty high, guys. That price earning ratio of 2964, that is pretty high, considering like ETFs and other stocks such as SPY, we're seeing in the range of 13 to 15 of a price earnings ratio. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing. The price earnings ratio is your share price, your stock price, underlying stock price divided by the business's earnings. So the current PE ratio of 2964 is pretty high. So now, like I said, that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's two reasons for a high price earnings ratio. The first reason for a high price earnings ratio is simply that the business is overvalued. They're not generating much income, and the share price is sky high. However, the other reason for a high price earnings ratio is if a business is forecasting huge growth. For instance, SOS. Now, SOS is a business which is trying to grow exponentially. So a high price earnings ratio is not worrying in this instance. However, if you found a more established stock that isn't looking to grow or looking to enter new markets or grow in any particular way, if they have a high price earnings ratio, that should worry you. You should question that, you should do some more investigations, and you should understand what is happening in the business. But one of the things I know about SOS is they're obviously getting involved with the mining rigs, as I mention on every single video, but because they're getting involved with that, there's huge growth potential. So it is a high price earnings ratio is considered fine in this instance because they are they're going through such huge growth. There's so much hype on the stock, which is driving the stock price higher and higher, and the hype is just going to keep on going. And with the Bitcoin prices going up, etc., that's only going to drive the demand for holding this stock, such as SOS and other crypto mining stocks as well. So it has to be justified, of course. The pricing earnings has to be justified, and in this case, in my opinion, it is justified, as SOS looks to grow like crazy. Look, here's some of the key highlights which I found in the news. I do this for most of the stocks which I invest in and trade. I like to have further assurance that whatever we're getting into, it's got good fundamentals, and it's important. Most people don't do this, guys. The craziest thing is most people don't do this. They hear about it on social media and they're straight jumping into these stocks, blindly investing into stock because somebody's just said it. So I highly recommend you guys do your own DD, do your own research, maybe do something similar to this, but I'll definitely be doing this for our members on a considerable amount of stocks. So here's the key highlights, guys. Full year 2020 revenue is expected to be approximately 49.5 million, representing growth of 451% compared to that of 2019. So you already know the business has already forecasted growth of 451% on its revenues. That is insane, guys. That is insane. And then what they've also said is the company expects net revenue growth of approximately 286% for full year 2021, i.e. the current year we're in, the current financial year, as their financial year ends on December 31st. So I like to do this sort of analysis. This isn't as in-depth as I usually do it, but it's just for the purpose of this video because everybody is asking about SOS at the moment. So I hope this helps you guys out. I tend to do it on the Excel file, but there are some key stats in here which you'll find. And yeah, there's one other indicator which I like to use, is the average trading range, 0.95. So that's 95 cents, in fact. So the average trading range is very, very important, especially if you're scalpers, if you're if you want to make a short-term gain. I mean, look, the stock was trading at 744. If it's moving on an average daily basis, an average trading range is an indicator which tells you how much a stock moves on a daily basis. At the moment, the average trading range is 95 cents. So that is a very good range for you guys to profit on a short-term basis. So for anyone considering short-term stocks, you want to have a good average trading range, enough for you to scalp the stock and make considerable amounts of profit. And an average trading range of almost $1, that's huge. That's enough for you guys to just trade shares and make a good profit. So an average trading range such as that is a good indicator for anyone looking to buy and sell shares on a short-term basis, maybe on a one-day basis. So I know for one that in my comments, some of you guys are messaging, you've been making profits within half an hour and an hour on SOS. So that just tells you this stock is also good for those short-term gains if you see it as a short-term gain, whereas I don't. So here's some of the risk. I do highlight more risk than this usually, but honestly, I couldn't see many risks. There is the liquidity issue here and the asset to debt ratio issue, because the liabilities to the assets are pretty even right now, you know. Let me unhighlight this because this isn't really very clear. It's not the long-term assets. We want to see total assets, right? So in fact, it's in this ratio, this value here, which is what you want to pay attention to. And when you look at it, total liabilities to total assets, it's like 1 for 1, right? So they're almost one asset for one liability. So it doesn't give you much confidence, but I'm expecting that to spike because they've just bought a ton of mining rigs, guys. That's only one business segment. They're involved with so much, such as insurance, healthcare, so many different business areas, guys. So I know I keep talking about crypto mining, but they've got so much potential in their other areas. They've obviously gone through the restructuring, which I mentioned. The management is good. They've decided to restructure it, and they've decided to become operationally much more profitable, you know. And so yeah, I like to highlight the key wins and the key risks. One of the risks which I wanted to mention to you guys about SOS as a long-term perspective, which doesn't really concern me too much, but it's worth mentioning, is the fact that the price and the investors stepping into the market for SOS is largely dependent on cryptocurrency prices. I found a direct correlation here, guys, between let me just get rid of this fill so you guys can read it. I've found a direct correlation between crypto mining stocks and the cryptocurrency prices. That's pretty obvious, guys. I'm hoping that's pretty obvious to most of you. But one thing to watch is, the good thing is Bitcoin and all the other cryptocurrencies are starting to get more traction internationally with in the corporate world as well. As you know, Tesla is invested $1.5 billion into Bitcoin, and they have now started to accept Bitcoin as a form of payment for their vehicles. So saying that, you know, speaking on that, as it gets wider acceptance, stocks and investors in stocks such as SOS is only going to increase, because they want to capture the momentum of cryptocurrency as well, and they maybe want to hedge any risk on cryptocurrency by instead investing in stocks. They want a safer investment rather than cryptocurrency. So stocks are one of the ways they can capture those gains by investing in crypto mining stocks. So yeah, I like to mention the risks because it's key to understand what the downside potentials are, so you know what to look out for in the news. Now, right now, I'm pretty active in understanding what's going on in the crypto world. I'm keeping on top of the news, and as I know, that will directly affect this particular investment. So yeah, I really hope this has helped you guys out. Some of the other areas I want to mention on this particular analysis is the stock price is highly speculative at this point. I haven't been able to work out its intrinsic value as I accurately usually do on other stocks, as there's just not enough data there. And because of the fact that this stock is just growing so quickly, it's hard. There's no point in creating an intrinsic value and understanding the potential of it when there's just so many buyers stepping in the market. The price has flown like crazy, right? So you calculating an intrinsic value right now when the stock price will jump to say $13, not saying that's going to happen, but if it does, say jump to $13, then the whole purpose of this becomes useless, right? when there's so much hype on a particular growth stock, working out its intrinsic value and where its potential is very, very difficult. However, if you do it on a more established stock, which I'll probably do for the channel at a later stage, you guys will see how that works and how it benefits us as traders and investors. Some of the other speculative areas which I want to mention on SOS, because everyone's hyping the stock, guys, and I like to remain realistic with these investments, right? So what you need to understand is there's a lot of hype on social media concerning this stock. A lot of people haven't looked at the fundamentals. A lot of people haven't understood the business itself, and a lot of people don't even know who the management are of this business. So until you do your research, until you understand, you can't just listen to someone on the social media. They will be hyping the stock, and if they've got their personal interest in the stock, then of course they're going to be urging you to buy it, right? So always be careful, trade smartly, and invest smart as well. One of the other areas is WSB, rumored to be bringing attention to the stock. So I don't know much about this. I'm not as active in that sort of area on WSB, but there is some rumors that there is some hype. So that, for me as an investor, I don't really pay much attention to it, but if you're seeing tons of retail buying and a lot of hype and people pumping the stock, that's not necessarily a good thing for us, because that just increases the potential risk of a sell-off and people locking in profits because they just don't know what the potential is of such a business, right? And then one of the other areas is crypto mining for the business has only just begun, guys. I'm going to come out of this Excel file. Crypto mining for SOS has only just begun. You guys know the news which I dropped on the channel. They've only just started mining cryptocurrency. They've still got 2 installations to arrive on their mining rigs. So from that perspective and a fundamental perspective, there's still so much potential left for increasing their revenues. And 2021 is already set to grow that 200% to 300% mark on their revenues, right? So from an investment point of view, it's looking great in the short to medium term. Now, just switching over to the technicals, you know, I do personally have a next profit target of 886. We do need cryptocurrency to hold up there, and we do need continued as well. We need continued news to keep the momentum here and keep buyers stepping in the markets to buy SOS, because if any negative news comes out, then we'll expect some consolidation and maybe even a short pullback. You can see how big this green candle is, so it's intense and it's incredible. But yeah, if you guys aren't paying attention to these sort of areas, you are gonna put yourself up to more risk by following people on social media and not doing your own DD. It's just not worth it, guys. It is not worth it. Maybe that's why you guys are following me, because hopefully I can help you with that analysis and provide my insights. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you hit the subscribe button, drop a like on this video, and hit me up on Instagram. I'll try and leave a link in the description box below. Here is the link to my Instagram. Here's just the webpage, traderjourney_official. And yeah, just feel free. I get back to every single DM, although it does take me some time. I will get back to every single one of you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I've tried to make it as detailed and in-depth as possible. I aim to give you guys value, and I aim to catch some crazy plays this year. So if you guys are interested in doing that, hit the subscribe button, and I shall catch you all on the next video. Take care. Goodbye.